Good morning, Afro. Good morning, Afro.
Today's story, Dizzy, by Jonah Winter, illustrated by Sean Quails. Let's get started. This is the story of one real cool cat who must have been born with a horn in his hands, judging from the way he played the trumpet. But to tell you the truth, he wasn't born with a horn in his hands. He was born very poor and very tough. Other kids used to beat him up because he was small. He liked to pretend it didn't bother him at all until one day he just couldn't take it anymore. He got mad and he got even. He whooped the living tar out of some big bully. And before you knew it, he was fighting all the time. Fighting and fighting just for the sake of it. There was no rhyme nor reason to his fighting. He was always mad. You see, his dad was always beating on him. And there was nothing he could do but try to be tough and try not to cry. Then one day, his music teacher gave him a trumpet. He picked it up and blew that thing as hard as he could. That felt good. He took all the anger he felt inside and blasted it out through the end of his horn. It was really loud. He didn't care how it sounded, which was pretty bad at first. He just kept playing and playing day after day until he no longer felt the urge to fight. His dad still whipped him, but with every blow he got from his dad, he blew his trumpet that much more until he was roaring. He was soaring. He was the best musician in his little southern town. Soon, that got boring. Playing notes on the page was what he learned to do, but what he wanted to play was a thing called jazz. All over the radio, jazz was the rage. In jazz, you took a melody and played it all different ways. You made up stuff and changed every phrase. It was crazy. If a melody was like a rule, jazz was like breaking the rules, like inventing new rules. Jazz was like getting in trouble. It was fun. For the boy with a horn, fueled with a fire that burned with every whipping, jazz was like a fire extinguisher. It was cool. For the boy with the horn, stuck inside a podunk town in the deep south where white folks put you down, jazz was also like a ticket on a train to better days. So he boarded that train and moved up north to a place they call Philly. Right off the bat, he got a job in a jazz band and started acting silly. He'd fall off his chair, kick his feet in the air, flail around willy-nilly, play practical jokes on various folks. On certain nights, he'd elbow the piano man off the bench and play the keyboard with his left hand and the trumpet with his right. The older musicians, they soon got tired of these shenanigans. They wanted him fired. Not a chance, said the boss. That kid's a whiz. Even if he is a little dizzy. Dizzy, said the trombone player. Dizzy, said the drummer. Dizzy, said the rest of the band. And even when Dizzy was a man, that's what he was called. He didn't mind. This fit into his plan, you see, to stand out on the bandstand. But Philly was small time, and Dizzy got bored. So he caught the next train to the town so nice, they named it twice. New York, New York. It was great. What a place. It was crazy. Like jazz, sort of. Like Dizzy himself. Except, bleepity bleep, even crazier. There were cars honking and everyone talking all at once in different languages. People laughing, people shouting. New York broke all the rules. Just like Dizzy. Just like jazz. It never went to sleep. People were up all night playing music and dancing. And there was Dizzy, horn beneath his arm, soaking it in, the rumbling and the roar of the A train, and the brass, and the saxes, and the drums of the jazz clubs. And there was Dizzy, up on stage, with the best jazz band of them all. Still, before long, he was, you guessed it, shouting spitballs and clowning around, making funny faces, faking football passes behind the back of the band leader while the dude was trying to sing, partly to get a laugh, but mainly to get noticed. You see, Dizzy knew he'd have to do something really special to get noticed in this band. That's why when it was Dizzy's turn to stand up and play, he played weird sounding notes. He played so high, he played so low, he played so fast. He played diddly diddly bop, the biddly wah wah the bleep. He puffed his cheeks out like this. During breaks and after the show, Dizzy beat up on the roof with some other hip cats, teaching them this and that, how to play Dizzy. How to play notes that no one had used yet. Here's the thing. Dizzy knew that sooner or later, he was going to get fired for being a clown. But he didn't care because he was proud. Because somehow, somewhere, the man they called Dizzy had come up with some not so dizzy ideas on how to change jazz into something new. And after he lost his job, oop bop shabam, like a preacher, he spread the word of his new jazz rhythms and chords and late night sessions and late night clubs where folks would sit, not dance, and listen, just listen. To the zibbity bop, zoo-ah-biddy bop bop, zilly beep, zilly bop, dee blap, dee blop, zibootin' dee boppin', dee boppin', dee bop. It was like he had taken a wrecking ball and smashed in the house of jazz till the walls came tumbling down. And in its place, he built a new house, the house of cool jazz. Soon, his whole name was up in big letters on the sign outside. Dizzy Gillespie. Dizzy Gillespie, on top of the world, going, 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 ziddly-bee-boo, da-boo, hiddling on his horn. And then, if he ran out of notes, he'd say, bebop. That's what Dizzy called this crazy kind of jazz that he had invented just by having the courage to be himself. Until the very thing that had gotten him into trouble so much, being a clown, breaking all the rules, had become the thing that made him great. His ticket into jazz heaven, where on certain nights, Dizzy Gillespie still shoves the angel Gabriel out of the way and shows him how to play bebop. We have just read Dizzy by Jonah Winter, illustrated by Sean Quayles. Please join us again for more stories. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe to hear more stories. And feel free to like, share, and comment below.
Afro. Good morning, Afro.